Now, growing up, did your father talk to you about the things that he witnessed or the trappings of the quote unquote justice system and prison and the courts and the whole nine?
Well, I mean, he talked to me about the justice system. I mean, he really stressed the point of it was a just us system to a certain extent, and that's one of the reasons why he said he had to get out of corrections. Just seeing young men that's from different neighborhoods that he had frequent that he couldn't stomach it. So he thought he could go to the courts and maybe be more of a deterrent within the system.
So at a certain point, your family gets up and they move out of Queensbridge and you guys move to Williamsburg.
Yeah, well, actually, I stayed with my grandmother in Tompkins Project for quite some time.
Right.
919 Myrtle Avenue. Actually, a good friend of mine back then, childhood friend of mine, was Tracy Morgan.
Wow.
Yeah,
How was Tracy back then, man?
Tracy was funny, man. It used to be Tracy, Fat Lenny, Alan Antoine. They used to call me Yummy because I used to eat it. I eat a lot. I was a fat little, fat guy.
Right.
Eat a lot. That was my nickname back then. Tracy was just, we were regular guys, man. We go out, play little, hit the sponge ball off the barrel and different things of that nature, we were living life, in the 70s, coming up.
Did you ever think that Tracy would be doing what Tracy's doing now?
I mean, he was always funny, man. He was always funny. We had a funny little crew, crew of us that were just, jokesters, but, Tracy always stood out. He just stood out.
Now, you speak about standing out, but from what I understand, you in school stood out, in terms of being somebody that was gifted. And so, from what I understand in the story that I read, you were placed in a gifted class.
Yeah, I was in a SP class.
Okay.
And an IGC class from public school all the way up through junior high school.
Okay. And it's noted that this same special class had another noted celebrity or noted first son of Brooklyn.
Yeah, my man
Sean Carter, Jay-Z.
Sean. Jay was actually, Jennifer, we talk about this and me and Jen laugh, but Jay was actually in, it was 6 SP, 7 SP, 8 SP, and right. Jay was in like 8-1, 8-2, 6-1, 6-7-1, 8-1, but he was definitely up there in the class with the brains.
So you knew Jay?
Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely knew each other, and it was junior high school, man. We knew each other from the neighborhood. When he was starting to get on and do his thing, I remember he used to come to my neighborhood because at that time I had moved out my family had moved down to Lindsay.
Right.
And he used to go into this barber shop on Manhattan Avenue.
Okay.
And at that particular time, we all would he'd get his hair cut there. I actually had a game room there at the time, and he came, and I remember listening to Dead Presidents in his car.
Wow. Did you know Jazzo?
Yeah, Jazzo's from the neighborhood too.
Right,
I mean, we all from the same neighborhood, man. Me and Jay went to the IS 318 together. 318 is like right in the middle of Marcy, Tompkins, Lindsay. Lindsay Park is where I grew up at.
At the beginning of my career as an attorney, I represented Rockefeller Records.
Oh.
So I worked closely with Damon Dash, Clark Kent, Jazzo, Jay-Z, like at the very, very beginning of the career. So it's kind of funny how and I'm a Brooklyn cat too. I grew up in Crown Heights, Albany, Lincoln Place between Albany and Troy, not too far from Albany Project. So, Brooklyn's in the building,
Brooklyn's in the building, definitely.
You were nice in basketball.
Ah, man.
Are you still nice in basketball?
Listen, man, these the old knees, man. I might give you...
Come on, do some yoga, Taylor.
I might give you a hard 3 minutes, man.
Okay.
Hard 3 minutes and then I'm done, man.
But back then, you had a spark on the ball court, yes or no?
Yeah, I had potential. I definitely had potential. My dad was a stickler for sports. So
Knicks fan?
If we didn't play, we were New York fans.
Okay,
so
right.
I mean, if we didn't play sports, we got the PS Flyers. We didn't get we didn't get the new sneakers.
You didn't get the Chuck Taylors?
Yeah, I mean, and you had to score about 20 points for to have 2 or 3 pairs of sneakers.
So that was the incentive.
The incentive was for me to actually get on that court and do my thing.
Right.
So I mean, and I played a little bit, and I went out to high school out in South Jamaica, Queens, August Martin.
August Martin. I know some friends that went to August Martin.
Yeah, and my team was the only team that got a championship in Martin for the boys.
Wow.
To this day.
Wow, to this day.
To this day.
So you made history.
Yeah, basically. I mean, in more ways now in more ways than one.
Taylon, growing up, man, what did you see yourself becoming, man?
Oh man, growing up, man, I always wanted to do something to help people. I went to August Martin actually to fly planes. Mm-hmm. That was my passion.
It was an aviational program?
It was an
aviation program, right?
And, to fly planes. I wanted to be a pilot, and I had different thoughts of what I really wanted to do, but I know deep down inside me, I wanted to help my people in some type of way.
Growing up in Brooklyn, and this is my personal experience, growing up, product of the late 60s, 70s, there was a time where, regardless what economic status our family was in, it was a beautiful time. We had our friends, we played games, and it was kind of scary. I remember in my young mind how Brooklyn started getting when some of the vets started coming back home from Vietnam because they were, in a sense, displaced.
Right.
But growing up with our friends, everything was cool. And I just remember early 80s, things really started to change, I'm saying right before the crack epidemic hit, as I started to get into my teenage years, you started seeing how we were being separated in different tracks. I definitely was the nerd kid focused on college, but the kids that I grew up with playing skelly, some started carrying guns, some and then the crack epidemic came down like a monster. Definitely. Like we were definitely not prepared for that invasion. I was fortunate because when it hit my block, Lincoln Place, between Albany and Troy, which was a hot zone, I was in college. So I was kind of sheltered from that, from being on the front lines. But you kind of got caught up in that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a time in my life that I'm really not proud of.
Right.
A lot of influences from older people.
That didn't have your best interest?
That didn't have my best interest.
Right.
Being a ball player and traveling all over the city playing ball, because I used to travel all over the city, man. I played with some of the best, man. Lloyd Daniels,
wow.
Kenny Anderson.
Wow.
Lloyd was on my CYO team.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, traveling around the city, you tend to meet people. And as I got older and going through high school, when I got into my junior and senior year, things kind of changed.
Right.
And, we seen the opportunity of all that glitter.
Right.
And we thought that was the way to go, and just wanting to be a part of something that was definitely destructive.
Definitely destructive, but and not making any excuses. But I also remember the pressures that we faced back then, because it was like you either had nothing, like you came of age where you realize, oh shit, this has been great, but when you really look at it, we have nothing with regard to material things, or some people have everything. It was a huge chasm.
Yeah.
Chasm. Yeah, and back in the 80s, I was a college kid, and I went to Cornell University, and my friends went to Syracuse, and the street cats aspired to hang out with the college kids because to them, it was a better pool with regard to the class of women that they had access to, and then also just expanding their territory. So it was ill just how pervasive, how easily influenced all of us were. And I'm talking about me in college, how easy. So I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was definitely a trap.
Right.
It was definitely a major trap that was set for our communities.
Right.
We didn't really understand what was going on. I call it biological warfare because we were dealing in something that we didn't know that was going to take down a whole generation and maybe a few generations. I mean, horrendous damage. But being young, I mean, when you're young, you don't think like how you think when you get a little older and you go through some trials and tribulations and really start looking at the big picture and understanding that, it was a setup, and you know, we were you know, it's just crazy when you like 18, 17 years old and you could put 3,000-4,000 in your pocket and
Get some of those
and,
Filas and some Gucci's
you
and
know, and you out there, you know, running around and you're hanging out and you going to certain spots, Zodiac, that's we hang out uptown. So I mean, it was something that was you know, it was something that really like lured young people into wanting to be a part of that life, you know. And I grew up. I mean, well, I went to school in the '80s out in South Jamaica, and
Right.
South Jamaica was like the epitome.
it was, I mean, some other, I mean, it was like,
Yeah, it was crazy. And coming from Brooklyn,
that was a whole other galaxy.
yeah, coming from Brooklyn, you know, a lot of people, oh, you know, Brooklyn Medina Warriors. So
Right.
coming from Brooklyn, they look at you like, yo, man, you got it a little, you know, you got it rough. You know
Right.
how to handle yourself out here, and you know, and it was, like you said, it was pervasive.